Here. All right, it's
Cool.
recording. What is up, party people? It is Dan, your basement guitar superstar. This is another episode of Creator Spotlight, and it is my honor and privilege to bring you Josh Berwanger, formerly of the Anniversary and the Only Children, and a couple other bands that I'm really getting into recently. So, Josh, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure, man. So, talk to me about your new record. That's like seriously the best name ever for an album. Watching the Garden Die.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's it, it's like more of a like personal. I don't know. I tend to like not write a lot of like strictly a song about one specific person or one incident. I always find like lyrically to like kind of combine like a different story with something that happened in a way.
Oh, sure.
um so this record has more of just like very like personal, like, you know, what was kind of going on in my life. And you know that name just came from, I was, you know, in a relationship and living with someone, and you know, a big part of that was like putting a garden together. Like our, you know, we were really excited to do that, and then, you know, broke up. And you know, and then I just remember just like staring out at it, and you know, you're depressed and you don't care about it anymore, and then it's just like every day it's like, yeah. And it just kind of like seemed like it just yeah, that just kind of like that just is where the title came from. And that, you know, most of the songs are not most, you know, there's like a few, you know, about that time. And there's a few that's, you know, I don't want to dwell the whole thing on there. And then, you know, a reason for like not writing about a specific person is like sometimes, you know, you have to play that live or hear it again and you don't want to, but sometimes you need to get it out also.
Right.
So
Well, and one of the things I've always loved about you, Josh, is your lyrics have always been extremely thoughtful. And you know, from the time you were in the Anniversary until up till now, I mean, I listened to the new record yesterday. And I'm actually, there's a couple specific songs I'm going to ask you about for the pedals, but that's the one thing I've noticed with you is I always absolutely love your lyrics.
oh, I appreciate it. I I'm kind of, I'm, you know, I'm a fan of lyricists that, um, you know, when you listen to a record, you kind of have a song that's like maybe more serious lyrically, but then like, could kind of just have fun on another song and get a little tongue in cheek, but still kind of make it cool in a way.
For sure.
You know, I think Tom Petty was really good at that. I think Bob Dylan was actually really good with that also.
Oh yeah.
Not
Have
that
you
I'm
ever
anywhere near any of that, but
have you ever seen any of those? Supposedly there's some videos going around, speaking of Bob Dylan, where like he just got sick of dealing with journalists. So he would do like these interviews where he'd have a puppet and he'd talk through the puppet. Have you heard of those?
I think maybe I heard about that a while back, but I haven't seen it.
That's kind of hilarious. I haven't seen it either, but I've heard it's a thing. But
I can't imagine.
anyway, so my two favorite songs off the new record are Bad Vibrations and Friday Night,
Mm-hmm.
specifically the guitar solos. I absolutely love. And both of those. Do you remember which pedal you were using for that?
For Friday Night, Ricky Salthouse, my guitar player, and he sings backups, and he played in Only Children as well. We were using a vintage Big Muff, I believe, through a Les Paul. So it's one of those Russian Big Muffs.
Okay.
And then had vibrations.
Because it
That was
sounded
kind of
like you were using like a flanger or phaser or something like that.
man, I can't remember what we did on that one. You know, sometimes if we're recording, we did the Friday Night solo in a studio Element and Element Studio in KC with Joel Nanos. And so, you know, it's, but like sometimes we did, I think we might have done the Bad Vibration solo in my basement where we are right now, or I am. And I just have like a collection of pedals, and we'll just kind of like, Ricky and I will just like be like, all right, let's do this. And we'll just like throw something that like is totally like, if someone saw it at a thrift store, they would be like, oh, I'm not paying $5 for that. Like, here's one. It's like, this is a Rogue graphic equalizer pedal, which I think even brand new, they were like $28. And I just like, I love it. It's like, if you could find like a way, you know, it's it's a junk Rogue, you know, they make those shitty guitars. But if you could find a way, you know, running it through, you know, a fuzz or like, you know, yeah, like a phaser, there's just ways to make like things that you think might be junk super cool. I mean, sometimes it does sound like shit, but you know, we get more, when we're in the basement, we just get more experimental with things. We actually, on the first the first Berwanger record, Strange Stains, we ran almost all of the bass through that equalizer pedal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is kind of weird also.
Nice. Do you have any more plans to press any of those? Because they're sold out on your website, and I wanted to pick, or on your merch site, and I wanted to pick one up.
Oh yeah, I think that it's a third pressing, is it's on goodlandrecords.com.
Goodlandrecords.com.
Yeah, so they put that record out.
And I'll post a link to that in the description for anybody that's watching this.
Cool. They put out a lot of great stuff.
Awesome. So what's on your board right now? Like when you go to play live again and this whole pandemic is over.
I'll get my board out for you. What's on my board? Here it is. This is where I record everything. So that's on my board as far as like, I was joking, but it is on my board.
Right. No, I meant your pedal board.
Oh yeah. That board. When I go to play live again, you know, I don't know. I haven't even like thought about playing live, to be honest. I keep my pedal board like right here because I record right here, and I'm just kind of like changing things out. But like, you know,
what are some of your favorites that you have right now?
Some of my favorites are like, I like when I like find someone who just like builds things. So like someone built this one and I've used it I had two of these at one point. I lent one out and they never gave it back. And this one was TK's, and mine that I never got back said JB right here. And it was just some dude who made it, and it's kind of like a overdrive pedal that sounds really great. And it was, you know, bright yellow when I first got it. And then someone made this one, and it's like a totally crazy fuzz pedal. I love fuzz pedals. Like I love when people build fuzz pedals. I have a bunch of them. And then I do have a few brand name ones. I have a Fuzz War by Death by Audio.
Oh, okay.
They make really cool stuff. And then I have this here, which is, I've really been digging this. It's shaped like an old VHS tape.
Oh, that's so badass.
And it's like an echo delay pedal that has kind of like a little old videotape tape quality.
No way. That's
kind of
cool.
Get a little bit of sound. Demadash is who makes it. Demadash Effects.
Huh.
So I dig that. And then one more that I really have fun with is this. It's by Dwarfcraft Devices.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, they make a lot of cool stuff. This one's called a Ghost Fax, and I don't even know. You know, I'm not really. I just like, I don't know like how to do a lot of stuff with pedals. I just like kind of mess with them, and I don't really read into them. I just kind of like know what I like or what I think I like, And but this is kind of like it feels like it's an envelope filter, kind of like it's kind of sounds like a ring modulator at times. It's crazy. You could do a lot of stuff with it. So those are kind of the ones I've been using here and there, like recording demos and stuff.
Sure. And now it sounds like, when we were talking for setting up this interview, it sounds like you're doing some producing too. Tell me a little bit about that. How long?
Oh yeah, I've
doing
been
that?
trying. Yeah, I've been trying to, help produce a little bit more, and I I've been working on. Well, I helped my friends, the Mean Jeans, produce a song a little while. That was like before the pandemic. It was just a little gimmick song they did for a friend, and then I really didn't do too much. But and then I was working with my friend Eva Gardner. She and I met when Anniversary. She played in the original Mars Volta lineup. So when we toured together, and she plays in Pink now, and she's great. She's played with a lot of people, and she's been putting together a new EP. She has an EP out already, and so we were kind of working together and on her songs, and then went to the studio and in Norman, and worked with Jared Evans, who produced the Star Invaders record, the Berwanger record, and he kind of took it from there. And we just we worked on those songs, and they turned out really cool. So I think her stuff is coming out in the next, like, I would say like midsummer or something like that.
Okay.
Trying to figure, it's kind of hard to figure out how to, like, what to do in, like when to release things and so forth right now.
Yeah.
Because it's like I've seen some people release records in the pandemic, and it's like, oh, our new record's out, and it's Friday, and then on Monday it's like it's just because you can't tour on it, and it's just like you kind of, so it's like, do you put something out and just have, just kind of hope something happens, which is like normal all the time, I guess. But I think it's just harder now, which you'd think it'd be easier because there's not a lot of stuff to do. I don't know.
Right.
It's a strange thing.
It is strange, man. So when did you release Watching the Garden Die then?
That came out I think that came out 2000, 2019. Might have came out in 2000. I don't even know time anymore. I think 2019 it came out in like around June 2019.
Okay.
And
Well, I mean, you
then,
probably played some shows for it before this whole thing hit then, I'm assuming.
yeah, we did a run of shows for that. And then what happened after that? Then the pandemic started, and I just released one song last year. So the goal is to get I have two different things I'm working on right now. I have a new Berwanger record that I'm hoping to kind of have finished up by end of March. And then I'm starting a whole new project, that's like the main thing I've been working on.
Oh, sure.
But I just haven't, I kind of am waiting till, hopefully you could be more comfortable in a studio,
Right.
to really start focusing on that. Because when we worked on Eva's stuff recently, we all got tested, and then it was just four of us in a big room, and everyone with masks on the whole time.
Right.
And it was a bubble, but at the same time, there's still, a little bit of like not being comfortable, so with that, I just want to wait.
Right. Kind of creates some unnecessary tension that would normally not exist, right?
A little bit. It's still, since we're all so close, and like knew that we were all good. Who knows? I guess we were good. It was a blast. It was a fun time. But yeah, definitely, like, it's like if you're kind of, for me, starting this new thing and not being with like, there might be more, I want like kind of like everyone in the room, like tracking live. And it's really hard to do that right now because, you need a huge room, everyone with masks on and all that jazz.
So when you do track for a record, Josh, do you have like one Zach guitar that's kind of always your main go-to, or do you try and do it with different instruments?
I usually switch it up depending on what the song sounds like. Demos, I just have one guitar sitting around right now. It's I got this Antigua Telly, which I had modded. I had, they usually have the single coil in both spots, but I always like, some of those 70s Telecasters, they have that, like Keith Richards, he has the humbucker there in the neck pickup. And that just never, I mean, that makes sense. I get it. But I was like, well, it would kind of be cooler to have the humbucker and the bridge pickup and the single coil. So I had someone like change that totally out. So I don't know. I kind of always have people change stuff. And I like things that are kind of, I just want things my way. It's like,
Right.
I have this guitar is another one where it's like a Gibson Modern, and it people like who like know this guitar would be probably like super pissed because it had like activated pickups in it.
Oh, sure.
Where you have to put the battery in, and it had the Floyd Rose right here, and I was just like, that's not my sound. Like I'm not, I don't need to be. I think that's cool. I love that, how the way, like when people can do that stuff. But I had the whole bridge taken out, and then my buddy had to put in like make a piece of wood that fits in the Floyd Rose area, put in a whole new bridge, and then put the two humbuckers in instead of the activated pickups there. So this one's all modded as well. So people who like see that and are like, "Oh my God, how did you do that?" Because I don't think they made a lot of those guitars. But yeah, I'm not gonna play it if I don't,
Right.
I want it to be the way I want it.
Josh, so I bought everything you did after I saw you live at the M Shop. So both Only Children records. I think I bought the second anniversary record. They're not Designing Nervous Breakdown. The other one, I can never freaking remember the name.
Oh yeah, Your Majesty. Yeah.
Yeah, Your Majesty, the one that starts out with Sweet Marie, which is one of my all-time favorite songs. But then I actually didn't know that you had kind of come back into doing music until about 8 months ago. I was on Sue Guitar's website, and you were doing a demo of their Dakota County Delay, I think.
Oh yeah, I got that right there.
And I'm like, yes, Josh Berwanger's back. Did you actually take a hiatus after the Only Children, or am I just an idiot and couldn't find anything about you?
No, I did. I put out the second Only Children record, which was Keeper of Youth. We toured on it. We did some really cool tours. We opened for Portugal the Man on a tour. We opened for the Meat Puppets on a tour. And then my wife at the time, she was in the Only Children, Heidi. Oh, and we had a child, and Oliver, and Keeper of the Youth came out. And so she wasn't able to go on these tours, and it just, the anxiety of it. And I knew, she's an amazing musician, and how not fun is it to, as much as like you like being home with your child, but you're also thinking it's like, oh, my husband's out. And she never was like rude about it or anything, but like the anxiety that I had was like, that sucks. Like I'm leaving her there, and I want to be with my son also. And so like after, I think we had like a West Coast tour ready to go, and I couldn't do it. I just canceled it, and then just kind of shut it down. I shut music down, and became a stay-at-home dad for a little while, and then I got a job coaching high school girls basketball.
Oh, okay.
And so I just totally abandoned. I didn't pick up a guitar for a long time. I mean, like years. I just didn't. I was burnt, I was kind of, it was just when that was going on, the music industry was like really changing as well. I didn't know how to really adapt to it. That style of music was like kind of not cool at that time. Well, it's all styles of music are all cool in certain circles at all times.
Dude,
But
I absolutely love The Only Children, though. I seriously thought that was your best work
thanks.
until I
I'm
heard the new
definitely proud
stuff.
of it.
So
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I love, I love that stuff. It was fun to do. But yeah, the Watching a Garden Die is more, some of that stuff is more in the vein of The Only Children a little bit. Some of the
I
songs
noticed
on
that.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like this twangy Southern rock vibe at certain points. And
Yeah.
um, so a lot of guitarists watch my channel. When
Uh-huh.
you started out playing guitar, Josh, you started out at age 10, it sounds like, based on your bio,
Uh-huh.
or somewhere thereabouts. When you
Yeah.
first started, were there any certain things that helped you progress as a player more than others, or stuff you found out later that you wish you would have known when you first started playing?
Well, I got my first guitar at 10, which was like a Harmony, still have it somewhere. Um, Electric 6-string from Service Merchandise. Remember they used to have that big fat catalog, and there'd be like
Oh yeah.
one page of like some instruments and stuff. And I didn't know how to play that forever. Like I thought like I knew how to play like a part of Every Rose Has Its Thorn by Poison. Um, and then I moved from Indiana to Kansas, and then I started cutting lawns, and I saved up for like a studio Les Paul, and I got that. And then it was kind of like in 7th grade, I sat next to this dude who was like a serious headbanger. A really cool guy, Justin Barron was his name. And we sat in the back of a science class, and he was an amazing musician already in 7th grade. He played violin, he could shred, and I'd be like, what can you tell me, like, like this? And so he like kind of taught me like tablature, just like the 0, 1, all of this stuff. And I didn't
Oh yeah.
understand and know any of that. So instead of taking notes, he would just write tab out for me. And so he wrote like, I think Moby Dick by Led Zeppelin was the first thing. And then it was like Crazy Train and maybe Enter Sandman. But like, so going home and then like being like figuring out, like Moby Dick, it was like, you're like, and like figuring out like hammer-ons and pull-offs and stuff.
Okay.
And I would just sit and play. It probably sounded like that, like just like really, like that kind of shit,
Oh yeah.
And so I just sit there and do it over and over, over and over again, and then finally get it. So that's how I kind of really started figuring out like the guitar. But what I wish I would have, if I had like wish or whatever, I don't really wish, it all worked out the way it should have. But what I didn't understand more so is I didn't understand chords and writing a song that way. Like I thought everything was kind of sung to, because I was so used to listening to Led Zeppelin and Ozzy and everything where it's like, but like, so when like, he kicks in, he's like, it's like chords, and I didn't get you sang a song to chords. I thought everything was kind of done to like notes, single notes, like being in 7th and 8th grade. So then like kind of getting more into punk rock stuff as I was going into high school. Then I started kind of figuring out, you know, and I'd always loved like oldies as well. So like listening to like Buddy Holly and, you know, Everly Brothers and things like that, where you started hearing like, oh, okay, this is basically that. It's just, you know, you're like Rave On by Buddy Holly is a perfect example of just like kind of like playing like, it's like a Ramon song in a way, you know, and then you're like kind of like figuring out, singing a melody on top of a G C D chord progression. So those are, yeah, that's kind of like how it started and how I started figuring out how to like write music.
So are you all self-taught then, or did you take lessons? Yeah.
Oh, if you can't, yeah, I'm really not that good. I'm just, I, yeah, I know, you know, I can't shred. But it's
Well, I
all,
don't think shredding makes you a good guitarist.
I do. No. Yeah, yeah, self-taught is just kind of sitting and watching movies and just constantly ding, 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 you know, that kind of thing. And or like, you know, when I started, I think I bought a VHS tape to like figure out slide guitar. So I would like sit and watch this VHS tape over and over. It'd be like, you know, this is before YouTube and stuff.
Oh yeah,
So,
nice. So who's the best guitarist you've played with then, or recorded with?
well, Ricky would get mad if I didn't say Ricky. But you know, I would say Ricky is one of them for sure.
Yeah, and
Um,
TK Webb was amazing, obviously.
TK Webb, Ricky, TK Webb, and then I was working with Judah Bauer from the Blues Explosion. We were like at one point putting together some songs. We actually only ended up doing one. But Judah's just, he's on another level of guitar. It's crazy. I would say, yeah, those are probably, I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. But those three are, yeah, out of control players.
Nice. Now, are you still doing Radar State stuff at all with Matt Pryor?
I think so. We just texted 2 days ago. We have like a Dropbox with 10 demos in it. So it's kind of, you know, like right around the beginning of COVID, we had a meeting and we were like, all right, here's the plan to get the second record out. And then like it just kept getting worse, you know, with like people getting COVID and stuff. And then we just kind of started being like, okay, let's wait. But we recently texted and talked about like, all right, let's do it. Let's figure a way to do this around COVID, where it's like we send the demos, we figure out our parts, and then we kind of find maybe a place to practice in a big area, and just like, you know, we'll all know the songs, and then we'll get them kind of in order because they change a bit from the demos.
Oh, sure.
And so, yeah, we're definitely planning to put out another record, and the new demos are really cool. I'm excited about it.
Because I saw that the other way I knew you were back is I saw it was like a four-way call with you and Kalen from Tiny Stills, and then
Oh
Matt
yeah.
Pryor was on that one as well. And I heard you guys were doing a project together, and I'm like, yes, two of my favorite indie musicians from the early 2000s.
Yeah, it's super fun. When we first started doing it, I mean, we haven't done it in so long because of COVID, but it's fun because it's like Adam from the Gadgets and Architects and Other Americans, and then Jim is the other singer guitarist from Get Up Kids and Blackpool Lights, and it's just, you know, it's all these guys that we all grew up on the scene together. We all toured together throughout, you know, beginning of early 2000s. And so, and it's just kind of like fast, kind of like more like power pop punk stuff. So it's kind of, it's laid back and fun, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll have to check
Good to
that out.
have an excuse to hang out with them, you know?
Right. Now, do they live in your area then?
Jim and Adam live in the KC area, and Matt and I live in Lawrence, Kansas.
Okay.
So, but you know, it's like, you know, everyone's so busy with their bands and they have families. And so having that is really cool to like, when we practice or like go on tour, just to get together and hang out. It's a great excuse for that.
Right, for sure. Now I saw a video on your page the other day where you absolutely destroyed Janko at Horse. Is that a common thing?
Um, he, he's good. He's good. We play, I mean, before this COVID, we play every week, and we yeah, Janko, I mean, Janko's good. He's a good player. He just probably had an off day and I was just on. Um, but you know, he'll tackle me every once in a while if I have a breakaway layup, and
Nice.
I'll get really pissed off and be like, we're in our 40s. We could break something. You can't, you know, can't play like that. And the joke was within the basketball group text was, miss playing with you guys. Hopefully we can do this in the next year. And then someone wrote back, it was like, the way we play defense, we're already social distancing, you know, those,
Right.
but that's kind of how it is.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome. Um, so like when you feel like you're stagnating when it comes to writing songs or playing guitar or whatever, what helps you break out of that normally?
Oh, just not doing it. Or if you're like, for me, if I'm really like needing to, it's kind of just being ultra aware of everything around me. Um, and something comes, or going for like a long drive, you know, if when I go for a long drive and just have, it's nothing but silence, it's like that's where a lot of melodies come into mind. um, or it's like hearing someone say a phrase, whether it be on a movie, in a movie or TV, or you're at the grocery store or at dinner with someone and someone says something and you're like, ooh, the way the cadence of that was that is that's a good melody, like whatever it is. um so I think being, for me, it's like being like aware of everything that's going on. Or you know, other times it's picking up the guitar and just like not wanting to do anything with it, just sitting there with it and kind of just like, you know, no guitar pick, just kind of like messing around, and then like, you know, sometimes something happens.
Nice. So what right now are you working on anything specific in your playing at all?
Stylistically,
Yeah.
I, I was really wanting to get into like learning how to play like kind of like nylon Spanish guitar,
Oh yeah.
flamenco style. Um, but then I just started working more on demos and kind of like have gotten away from that. But there was a little time where I was like trying to do that, but not really. I mean, it's kind of like at one point I felt I was really good at slide guitar. And when I took that long break, I felt like I kind of have not, I'm not as good at that anymore. So I've been trying to incorporate that on some of the new songs for the Berwanger record. So trying to get back into like, you know, just simple slide stuff could be like really cool.
Nice.
Even if it's like easy and, you know, just a cool little melody.
Nice. So what when obviously we can't really play music right now. So when you're not recording or not playing basketball, what do you do outside of music usually?
Right now I am doing like freelance graphic design. So in the past month, and video editing. In the past month, I've edited 3 music videos, and in the last 2 months, I've done like a few covers for bands, album covers, and you know, whatever comes my way. That's been kind of the income lately. and
Are you still coaching basketball at all?
I'm not. I would love to do that again. It was I really loved it. It's way more intense and time consuming, I think, than people think. You're like, it's kind of like when you tell someone you're in a band, they're like, oh, what else do you do? All my life, it's like, oh, we were just in Rolling Stone magazine. They're like, well, what else do you do? And like, that's it. Got to a point where I just like don't say I'm in a band, but it was like that with like, what do you do? What do you do now? Like, oh, I coach high school girls basketball. And they're like, well, what else? I was like, well, I mean, I'm a para at the high school. I was a para also. And, but like the coaching, it's like 364 days a year. I mean, it's especially if you're doing it at like, I was doing it at 6A high school, which is like the high, 6A. And it's like when you're not in season, you're doing like off-season training, or you're doing camps, or you're doing, I was coaching like like a non season team where it's like what's that called? AAU team.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was just AAU was like, that was a nightmare, really, like doing that. And that was traveling, it was like traveling. You're in Nebraska, right?
No, I'm in Iowa, actually.
Iowa? Okay. Yeah. We played at some tournaments in Iowa, Nebraska, St. Louis. And so I love it. I think if I did it again, it would have to be at like kind of like a school that doesn't expect you to give your entire year,
Right. Doesn't expect a huge time commitment or something.
I'd give all my time in season, but when it's not season, it's and that all depends on like, what the expectation is as well. It's like parents want you to win, but a lot of those parents' kids are doing like multiple sports. So it's like, you just don't, and then you're also dealing with other schools that can recruit kids, like the private schools. So you're like going up against competition that like, those are the kids who want to play Division I college athletes. So
Right.
you're like expected to like, and it's kind of like, it's a lot of pressure. My brother-in-law is a college football coach. So I can't even imagine that that level's a whole other MF.
Wow. That's crazy, man. Let me see what else I had. Oh, what record do you feel like you're most proud of, or what's your favorite song you've written?
Well, you got to say the last song you written is your most favorite, I think. But recorded on an album, I love all the anniversary stuff. It's very sentimental. And that was, such a great time. After that, I really, on I guess the last record has a song called Even the Darkness Doesn't Know. I really like that song. I'm pretty proud of that song.
Because Josh, my favorite song, and I think I told you this when we were corresponding on Facebook, my all-time favorite Josh Berwanger song is "Girl with Golden Hair."
Oh yeah, that's see, that song actually came from sitting at having dinner with my mom and sister's friend, and I think my mom went to the bathroom, and my sister's friend was talking about getting high, and then in my mind I was just like, everybody wants to go get high, like forget that, let's get stoned. I didn't say that out loud, but that's like, that kind of like sparked that whole thing, that song.
I figured
Yeah.
maybe it was you had some gal you were interested in that was being chased by some dude that's a millionaire or something.
Yeah, there's another subtext to that song. It's a funny one.
But yeah, I think Change of Living, and I haven't dug into your newer stuff
Mhm.
since you came back from hiatus because I didn't know you were back until
Yeah,
again like 8 months ago. But of
I'm
the
back.
stuff I've heard so far, I think Change of Living is my favorite. As an album, it's in my top 10 of all time.
Oh, thank you so much. That was really one of recording that record and Your Majesty were my two, and then Exorcism Rock would be like third. But like as of like good times, those two were the two best times of in my life of recording, and like almost like moments really. Um, my son being born, recording Your Majesty, and recording Change of Living. Those are like top three, some of the
Nice.
top three moments right there.
Does your son play guitar?
He, for a long time, I was like, I bought him a guitar and he kind of like, it sat there. He was young. And, but as of like the last maybe 6 months, he has been obsessed with just instruments. He is playing guitar, bass, piano, and he got a mandolin like he bought it with his own money. Um, he got bought an electric mandolin and he is getting so good at it. That's what he's been mainly playing. But I mean, he is getting really good at it. He's already better than I am, which, isn't really that hard to be. But I mean, the fact he's been doing it for 6 months and is better, is really cool to see. And he'll, when he's at his mom's, he'll send me little videos of like, he loves George Harrison.
Oh,
George
okay.
Harrison and ELO, but like George Harrison's solo stuff. It's like he is just like an encyclopedia of every one of his albums, throughout his
Oh,
entire discography. So he's been learning. I think it's called Every Road. It's the first song off of Brainwashed, which was George Harrison's last record, which, in my opinion, might be it's obviously All Things Must Pass is probably number one, but Brainwash might be number two. It's a really great record.
yeah, I
So
don't
he's
think
been
I've.
getting really good at that.
Awesome. And last question for you, Josh, before I let you go, because I want to be respectful of your time, obviously.
Yeah.
And again, I appreciate you coming on with me.
Oh, I
Uh,
appreciate this. Yeah.
yeah. When I'm sure you hear new musicians all the time, what newer guitarists have you discovered recently that you're excited about?
Newer guitarist that I'm excited about. Hmm. I don't know. Gosh. I don't know if I know anyone's name. Uh,
Also, I got a collab idea for you that I think you and this dude would fit really well together collaborating.
oh yeah.
Do you know
Um,
do you know who Matthew Logan Vasquez is
no.
from Delta Spirit?
Oh yeah, yeah, I know Delta Spirit. Yeah.
He's the lead singer of Delta Spirit.
Okay. Yeah. I'm all up for doing, the thing is with collaborations, it's just the other person has to be 100% in, because it's like I've tried to do a few and it's like you're moving and moving and then all of a sudden it just like one end cuts off and you're like, hey, are we going to do this? And then you kind of become annoying. You're like, hey, come on, let's go. And that was the whole point of just calling Berwanger was because it's like whoever's going to play on the record, it's like I could just move it along as much as I want. There's
Right.
no like like no one. It's like you can't do this, next person up. But yeah, I'm all for collaborations with that St. Vincent. She's a really great guitar player. um I'm trying to think of people still, because it's some of my favorite guitarists are just like Robbie Krieger from The Doors and Randy Rhoads and um, Lightning Hopkins and Mel Brown, are those are kind of like my favorite guitar players. But it's like I don't know. I just the newer music I buy is like more like if I buy a new band, it's more like hip hop oriented than rock music, solo stuff, and doing something. So I don't know. Who's yours newer guitar player?
There's a kid from Maryland named Paul Diallo.
Uh-huh.
He goes by the name Pauly Boy Blues.
Uh-huh.
This dude's 21 years old. He's
Uh-huh.
played since May of 19, and he's
Uh-huh.
one of the best blues guitarists I've heard.
Really? Would you send me a link?
Yeah, I will. Him, and
Okay.
then I've gotten into Matthew Logan Vasquez recently, his solo stuff, and then Philip Sace too, if you know who he is.
I don't.
He's a blues guitarist out of LA that's freaking amazing. Probably
Okay.
the best guitarist on the planet right now, in my opinion, anyway.
All right. Send me some of that stuff. We'll get off and I'll be thinking and I'll be like, oh shoot, I forgot that I really like this guy. But yeah, I'm trying to even think of the last new like rock record I bought. Um
I've gotten some UK bands that I'm into now too. Like, are you into harder stuff like Nirvana and Silverchair and all that?
there's some good Nirvana's really good. I've never really listened to too much Silverchair.
Okay, there's a band from Britain I discovered recently called False Heads.
Uh-huh.
That's like really angst-driven grunge rock. That's amazing.
Okay.
Just bought their record, and then I discovered a folk singer songwriter who I actually talked to yesterday for the same thing for my channel. Her name's Carrie Martin, and when she sings, it sounds like a Celtic goddess is trying to enchant you. Like her voice is amazing. Yeah,
Is it like you play Dungeons and Dragons and listen to it type of music?
it might be.
Like,
Do you
I'm
play?
interested in hearing that. I like some of that kind of stuff.
Do you play
Dungeons and Dragons.
D&D?
I would love to play, and but no, I don't. But I mean, there was a time Anniversary got into Magic: The Gathering, so we would play with Debbie, who played in a band from Lawrence called Butter Glory. They were on Merge Records, and so we would get our cards and we'd go over to Debbie's house and play Magic: The Gathering. There was a time that happened. And Janko, drummer for Only Children and Anniversary, he knows all the Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
Nice.
He's like a secret kind of wizard kind of person. Send me that. I'd like to check all that stuff out.
Yeah, man, for sure. I'll send it to you. Oh, and then hey, one last thing too. I'm kind of pseudo working on some of my own music, and like I told you, I'd like to do a cover of Girl with Golden Hair, but I can't figure out what key it's in.
Oh, I think it's I don't know if I put let's see. It's a lot of tune. I think it's just A minor, F, C. So the girls going here. Know your man, millionaire. Then it goes to G, and then the pre-chorus is F. Yeah, E, A minor.
Yeah, I mean,
Unless
I
I
had
put
the
capo
chords
on it.
figured out. I just didn't know what key it was in. I was still missing one or two. So I'm
It's
glad.
either A minor or I put a capo on the second fret. So it's one of those two. But I think it's A minor. I haven't listened to it in a while.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, I don't have anything else for you. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. This was a super fun time. It was, I've done a few podcasts, and I rarely talk about gear or, a lot of these subjects. So this was fun to sit here and talk to you about it all. I appreciate you taking the time to write down the questions and hang out with you.
Hey, no problem, man. I'll send you a link to Indie Pedal Builder I like too, since you're into
Oh,
that stuff.
yeah, definitely.
Done a couple previews for him. He builds custom circuits for people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that reminded me. Okay, you can edit this part out if you want to, or keep it. So when I was in third grade, I made like my first my I was brought up Catholic, and I made my Holy Communion in third grade. And so you like get a present, I guess. So I wanted like a boom box, whatever you call them. So I got this boom box, and it was like at one point it was like this, but like that was third grade, so that was the 80s, and I lost it all, except for some reason this one speaker from the boom box I found, and I was like, man, I should try and turn that into like a little amp. And so my dad and I did do that. And let's see, is it the wrong one? Oh man, is there no battery in it? I turn it down. Let's see. Oh, dang it. I had the battery in it. I guess I don't. Anyways, I turned this into a little amp, and it sounds so cool. Let me see. Hold on.
Oh, do you still, while you're doing that, do you still have that
Yeah,
Stu amp head that you were playing in that video?
I do. I have the Sue amp head. Why isn't it working? Oh man. Oh well, this sounds super cool though. It's like a little amp. This is like part of my childhood, and I
Dude,
don't know
that's
why it's not
wild.
working. But yeah, I have the Sue head. I like really like these amps called Alamo amps. They were made like in the like probably mid to late 60s, maybe even earlier. They might have done one in the late 50s. So I have two Alamos, a cabinet. They kind of just ripped off the Fender stuff, but I think
Oh,
they
sure.
sound super, super unique. And then I have a Magnetone 1959 combo, which is like amazing.
Nice. I'm trying to remember. Did you own a Gibson Firebird at one point?
I had a Gibson Firebird at one point. Yeah.
Because I think when I saw you guys at the maintenance shop in Ames in like '02, I think you were playing a Firebird.
Well, let's see. Did I have that then? I don't know if I had the Firebird. Maybe.
You
I
were
don't remember.
playing a pointy guitar of some type.
Point. I mean, like I have a Flying V. I have two of those Moderns. I was never I was never an SG person, so
You
I
still
don't
have
know.
that you still have that like sky blue Les Paul you were playing on that last anniversary tour?
Oh yeah, I love that. Um, that's yeah, custom Les Paul. I need to change some of that stuff out though. Um, I have that still. I have my 62 Jaguar. That was the third guitar, well, the second guitar I bought, which was in 2000. No, that was in like 98 or
Maybe
99.
that's what you were playing on that tour. It was something like that.
Yeah, it could have been that. I had because
Because I
I
don't think
know
you had a Les Paul at that show.
I had my Les Paul.
No, you didn't have a
Oh,
Les Paul at that show. You were playing a Fender of some type.
oh, it was a purple sparkle Jazzmaster.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, it was a 65. I don't have that anymore.
Oh no.
Well, I there was a guy in town who so there's a record there's a music shop, and I went into it that afternoon, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was like $650. I was like, I gotta have this, and I bought it. And then I guess that dude was like getting money from his bank to come in and buy it. It was like his dream guitar, and I didn't even know the guy. And so like 8 months had passed or so, and we played a show, and I think that guy was like, hey, that's my dream guitar, I want that guitar, like please would you sell it to me. And I was like, my whole thing with things in general is like, if someone can is like lets you know that like this means more to me than you, then it should be that you should give it to them, or it's, let them buy it from you for whatever you paid. And that guy wanted it, and so I sold it to him, and that's great. He still has it. He loves that thing, and yeah, it's cool that he got it. It was a beautiful guitar.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll let you get back to your day then.
You too, man. Have a great one, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good. See
All
ya.
right, later, brother. See you.